Take a little break about learning specific HTML elements and learn more about comments, layouts, and styles. So let's start with comments. So sometimes you want to put some comment in your code. For example, I want to say this is where the body starts. And if I just write random stuff, that's not correct. You have to write a comment style, which is kind of like that. Basically now, what if I write here, this is where body starts. What if I write here, it's going to be ignored by the browser. So this code is not going to be run. So you can leave a comment like this for developers. Yeah, to styles. So styles, you should always add your document to this doc type. It's really important. It should always have a header, it should always have a title, and it should always have a body. Now, as you can see, these are all lowercase. They don't have to be. So let's say I have a paragraph. Let me actually open this. Boom. So let's say I have a paragraph called this is paragraph. So now it works. If I make this a capital letter, it works fine. No, it makes no difference. But you should always use a lowercase because it's just easier to read. Another thing is if you forget to close, it still works, but this is really bad. You should always close that. Another thing is when you have an attribute name. So let's say, for example, we had a link, right? We had a link. So let's say Google. Then I'm gonna just go to Google. Hello Google, and I have the code here, and I'm just gonna put a target blank here so it doesn't, we don't want to leave this. So now it works, that's great, but this doesn't have to be. It can be capital letters, right? And it still works, but your attributes should always be small letters. It just makes it very simple. Another one is the equal sign. You could put a space in here. I mean, that works, but you shouldn't be doing that. That's really bad because it makes it super hard to read. Yeah, that's the main styling that I wanted to talk about. Another one is image. Your image should always have a width, a height, and alt. That's really good. So if you have, like an image with source, it should always have width that you specify, a height that you specify, an alt, which is kind of the alternative as we discussed it when we learn image. It should always have this tree. Just makes it easier so your code doesn't suck. Yeah, these are the main things. Now let's get to the structure. So let's say I have h1. Let's say, actually let me choose h2. So say I have, I need to use small. There we go. Say I have section 1, close that. Say I have multiple, so I have section 1, section 2, and 3. So section 2, section 3, and then say I have a paragraph here. And let me copy some text here. So this is the paragraph. Let me just copy this 2 more times. So I have 3 paragraphs in this. I have section and 3 paragraphs. Let me copy these 3. And let me put this 3 in all the other ones. So now we have, basically this is what we have, right? We have 3 sections. Now what I want is I want to style these sections differently. So for example, I want the color to be blue in this one to be yellow, the other one to be green. Now I could do that. So let me use an internal CSS. So let's just say CSS. And so since I only want to change one section is color. I should just use an ID. So let's just call it section 1, right? And then the color for section 1, I want it to be blue. And I want to do two more. So I wanted this to be orange and this to be green. And this is section 2 and this is section 3. Right. Now let's do this. So we have to give an ID here called section 1, but we see a problem already. We also have to give the ID to these 3 paragraphs, and the IDs shouldn't be shared by multiple elements. So we kind of have to change this to a class. That kind of sucks, but you know, what are you gonna do about it? So let's just change the class. That's great. Let me copy this class and put it in here, and let me save the change. And if we get this, so now that's great. But do you kind of see a problem with this? Now I have to like give a class here too. Like that's just a lot of typing stuff. But also, what if I have, instead of 3 paragraphs, what if I have 10 paragraphs, right? Do I have to go to every single if I'm giving a class? I mean, that sounds a lot of work. So wouldn't it be great if there was a way to kind of organize this whole thing to treat it as one thing? There is. There are multiple ways of doing it, but I'm actually going to use one very common called div. And the div element, it opens. It's kind of like a parent element. So we open the div, and then you close, right? So the nice thing about div is we have the div right here. And basically we have the div, open the div, put everything inside, close the div. So now the div is the parent of these children, for example. Now we don't really need this. We can just have remove this, remove that, then remove that, give a class to the div now called section1. And if I save, boom, we have the same thing here. But do you see a nice thing here? So since we only use this in one place, we can just make it an ID. And we get back to the ID that we were thinking about. That is, isn't that awesome? Now, let's do the same for the rest. And then we just need to create divs for the rest. So let's create another div right here. And put the div around the children. And then kind of indented it so we could kind of see where the div is. And then we need one more div for the third one. And this is the div, remove the end there, and put the div here. Now all we have to do is give the other divs an ID name. So if section 2 and ID section 3. And indenting doesn't matter in HTML. Like if you're from Python, you might recognize it matters, but HTML doesn't. So now, isn't that something? Then that's awesome. That means we can just, I don't know, like give a background color of this. Boom. We can increase the padding for like, say 20 pixels. Boom. I mean, I have full control over this. Now, I have another question. What if I wanted to change, I wanted to style this differently, just that, you know? Like, just that sentence, let's say the last sentence. Like, how would I do that? That would be hard. But, thanks to div, there is something like div called span. And it's inline, so it goes inside. Instead of becoming parent, it goes inside the element. So we could write span here. It gave me a closing tag automatically, but we want to close that sentence. So we have basically we have the span, inside the span we have this, and then we close, and then we have the paragraph. Now we can give this span an ID, call it text. Very original ID, by the way. I'm really proud of that. So I'll call it text. Now if I change the color to, I don't know, white. Whoa, it became white. Let's change background to yellow. Super hard to read, so let's just say green. Now that looks like highlighted. I mean, that's great. That is great. Now you might be thinking, but wait a minute. We gave a color here, and we gave a color here. So why would it choose yellow instead of, I don't know, like aqua? And the reason is it chooses the color of whatever is closest to it. So this is the text, the closest one is the text, so it's gonna tag the color of the text. Yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in this section. See you in the next